Welcome to Spiritual Steps, a podcast about learning to pray, listen, and grow by taking small steps on the spiritual journey. I'm your host, Stephen Hovatter, and this is episode 38, a New Week Resolution. As people mark time and the new year rolls around, this is resolution season, at least when I'm recording this. I applaud the intention of anyone who makes a commitment to any kind of practice aimed at their growth and betterment. And if making a resolution helps you think about goals and the systems required to progress towards those goals, then go ahead and go for it. I do think, though, that one of the issues with the traditional New Year's resolution is that the time horizon is too long, at least for me, and I think for a lot of folks. And I want to suggest a simple shift that can provide another tool in your box of spiritual practices, a new week's resolution. Why must a resolution be a year-long affair? I mean, personally, years are hard units of time to manage, and it's difficult to foresee what will happen in November from the vantage point of January. I think there's a grandness to it of this is the year, and I think for a lot of folks it has that, not just first of all, it's just a traditional thing, right? But I think it also has a sense for a lot of people of something that rolls around just often enough to have this kind of traditional marker, but being rare enough that it feels kind of grand. And, for most of us, I think our lives are managed and lived not in those grand spaces. And I think we make the most amount of progress, not in grand moments and grand gestures, but in simple, concrete, practicable sorts of things, okay? To me, months are more like it, okay? And indeed, what I'm suggesting works well in that unit too, but really, most of my life is lived over the course of a week, okay? A week has a rhythm and it has routine, and most of my life is governed by the routine of the week. If you think about it, okay, even though we do have seasonal patterns in our lives and perhaps annual patterns in our lives because of the seasons, the smaller the unit of time is, from a day to a week, a month, then to the season and the year, in the smaller unit of time, it's more concrete, okay? It's more physical, and it actually governs what you do day in, day out, moment to moment, more fully, okay? And at any rate, so what I want to suggest is that making a resolution at the outset of a simple week can be much more effective than the annual variety. Now, I want to give a little caveat there. I think it's important on the annual scale to make goals, okay, and even to adjust your personal systems and your personal practices in order to accommodate those goals, okay? There is a space for making these kind of grand evaluations of ourselves and thinking about where we are in life and what we need to change and what we want to do better and maybe do less of or do more of. And a year is a good opportunity to do that. It's a great time for taking stock, okay? But I think the real magic is in the sorts of adjustments that we make on the more concrete moments of our lives. And so those smaller units, months, weeks, days, are really better for us, okay? I want to suggest just a simple practice that you can do at any time of the year, in any moment, of making a new week's resolution, of starting at the close of a week, okay, in the weekend, the Friday, Saturday kind of time, and thinking about something that you want to move forward with in the next week, okay? And it can be connected to a larger goal. It could be connected to some kind of yearly goal that you set. But I think it's a really good practice to, in that week, set what it is that you hope to accomplish and exactly the sorts of times and moments that you're going to, work the practices that you've tried to make a part of your life. So if you're working towards becoming a more prayerful person, it's great to say, I want to do that in the new year, but it is even more helpful, much more helpful, I think, to say, this week I'm going to pray, every day at this part of the day, or I'm going to pray through this particular text over the course of the week, or whatever it is that you're doing. Or if you're working towards, say, a study goal, or, it's great to say, I want to read 30 books in a year, but, trying to say I'm going to read through half of this book in this week, or I'm going to read through these texts 4 times over the course of the week. I mean, those are much more manageable, much more concrete ways of diving into the actual thing that you're trying to accomplish. So the broad thing is good, but you got to have regular moments where you drill down into accomplish it. And I think starting off at the end of a week, and looking towards the next week and saying, this coming week, I'm going to do this. Okay. I think that's a very good practice. And I believe that probably some of the most fruitful times of my life have been when I've certainly had larger goals that I was trying to accomplish or move forward in and be faithful in. But those times when I've had an actual plan in a weekly unit, okay, have been the moments where I've really been able to drill down and take steps forward. And that's what we're trying to do here on the Spiritual Steps podcast. It's really about, it's not just about these grand visions, okay? It's about the small, simple steps that we can do to actually be faithful in time, over time, in small steps, okay? And I just want to offer that this practice of a weekly resolution, okay, a weekly commitment, is really a good tool to move you forward. So whether it's the beginning of the year, or whether you're listening to this sometime out in the middle of summer, okay, it doesn't really matter. But you can pick up even this week, even in the coming week, and make some sort of commitment and resolve to pursue a spiritual practice that by the time the week is out can move you forward in your spiritual life, in your walk with God. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. If you have any comments or questions, or if you just want to extend that conversation, go ahead. I'd love for you to reach out on Twitter or Facebook. On Twitter, I'm at Stephen Fobatter. Also, if this sort of thing is useful to you, then go ahead and subscribe in whatever podcasting app that you choose, that you love. We're going to be back soon with a new episode. This is kind of the 3rd season of the podcast. Really having fun with it. Until then, keep taking the next step that you see in front of you, and may God be with you on each and every step of your journey. Peace.